Good evening, race fans. Welcome to Daytona International Speedway. I'm Aaron Johnson with the Johnson iRacing team, bringing you tonight's feature event. It is the TDR Xfinity Fall Free-for-All from Daytona. 60 laps, 150 miles with the cars and stars of the Tyler Daniels Racing League. Tyler Daniels Racing is a welcoming, inclusive racing community. We welcome all regardless of age, ability, or background. Tyler Daniels Racing has a charitable focus. We've run charitable events for the Wyoming County Animal Shelter, for the Iowa Food Bank, and to support mental health awareness. Tyler Daniels Racing believes that we're a big family. Yeah, we're going to squabble sometimes, but we care about each other both on the simulated racing platform and in real life. If you're interested in learning more about Tyler Daniels Racing, go to tylerdracing.com or look up Tyler Daniels Racing on Facebook, because we have something for everyone, whether it's asphalt or dirt, whether it's oval or road course, whether it's NASCAR, IndyCar, Legends car. If you can race it on the iRacing platform, chances are we're going to race it in Tyler Daniels Racing. Let's have a look at today's starting lineup for 60 laps at Daytona. Starting in the 17th spot in car number 34, that's the Back the Blue Xfinity Series car of Chris Silverman. Chris racing out of Bohemia, New York. Starting in the 16th spot in car number 17, that is the Oreo car of Chad Waller. Chad racing out of the Midwest. In the 15th starting spot in car 00, that's Aaron Johnson, the University of Missouri Mustang. Aaron out of Bailey, Colorado. Starting in the 14th spot in car number 16, that is Fish Fisher from Long Island, New York. In the 13th spot in car 71, it's Sonia Fonseca. Sonia running the Birthday Cake Pebbles car, racing out of Virginia. Starting in the 12th spot in car 26, that's Mark Bradshaw. Bradshaw in the BACC Charities car out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. Starting in the 11th spot in car number 28, that is Jim Downham. Jim from Ocean City, New Jersey, also running the BACC Charities livery. Now, let's have a look at the top 10. Starting in the 10th spot in car number 96, that's the Dude Wipes Pudge Grudge car of David Tremblay. Tremblay from Toledo, Ohio. Starting in the 9th spot in car 66, that is Bob Burlew. Burlew racing the Basset Hound Rescue car out of Whiting, New Jersey. Starting in the 8th spot in car number 41, that's Marty Brown. Brown running the Jack Miller's car out of Louisiana. Starting in the 7th spot in car number 23, he's going to show up on your telemetry in the bottom left-hand corner of the screen, is car number 4. That is the Nowski Nation car of Tony Caron. Tony out of Bedford, New Hampshire. Starting in the 6th spot in car 31, racing the TylerDRacing.com car out of New York, that is Ashton Hooker. Starting in the 5th spot in car number 23, that is Dustin Velduzin. Velduzin, the Realtree Camo car out of Minnesota. Starting 4th in car number 2, that is Anthony Hooker. Hooker running the Dude Wipes Pudge Grudge car from New York. Starting in the 3rd spot, car number 7, that is Andy Shaner. Shaner also running a Dude Wipes Pudge Grudge car. Shaner out of Brownstown, Indiana. Starting on the front row outside in car number 61, that is Keith Fonseca. Fonseca, a member of Back Row Sim Racing, running out of the Virginias. And on the pole in car 51, that is Lucas Gortman, also in a Back Row Sim Racing car. Gortman out of the Carolinas. You'll notice the Dude Wipes Pudge Grudge cars. That's an ongoing series between Nowski Nation and TDR. Pace car lights off. The field bunching up here. 17 cars for 150 laps at Daytona in the TDR Xfinity Fall Free-for-All. Pace car leaves the field. It's going to be Gortman leading the field to green. Lucas Gortman. His car number showing up as 69 on the car, but as 51 on your telemetry. Gortman leading the field as they take the green now down the straightaway and into the turn. It is Gortman, Fonseca, Shaner looking to the inside now, and it looks like Anthony Hooker to follow Shaner through as they've shuffled Keith Fonseca up high. Yep, it is Gortman, then Shaner, Hooker, Fonseca now up high. He's moving backward as that inside line gathering a little bit of momentum. Fonseca trying to hold on in that 61. Out front, it's the 69 of Gortman, followed by Shaner, then the 2 of Anthony Hooker. Those are your top three. The outside line losing ground. That inside line early on at least seems to be the fast way around, as it looks like Sonia Fonseca back in the back there in danger of losing the draft. Out front, it's the 69 of Lucas Gortman. Shaner in second. As they cross the line, it'll be Fonseca third, Hooker fourth, and then Ashton Hooker in fifth. So Hooker and Hooker running currently fourth and fifth. Out front, it's Lucas Gortman with the lead. Slightly different camera angle. We watch Gortman flash by. The outside line now beginning to get a little bit racy, as Keith Fonseca in that 61 going to jump out to the lead. So Fonseca is going to lead the outside line past Ashton Hooker, tucked in right behind him. Marty Brown behind that group, along with David Trumbley, as we watch the inside line get overtaken. Ooh, a little bit of contact there between Hooker and the 69 of Lucas Gortman. Out front, it is Keith Fonseca, followed by Ashton Hooker. Now Marty Brown trying to make some room on the outside as well. Brown trying to get a little bit of a run. It's going to be Fonseca, Hooker, Brown, then the 69 of Keith Fonseca. Behind them, it's Trumbley and Shaner. Then just behind that group, it's going to be the 2 of Anthony Hooker. And then the BACC Charities car of Mark Bradshaw. Bradshaw working his way up from 12th. He's currently running in, looks like, about the 8th spot. So a 17-car pack. We're 3 laps into a 60-lap race. And right now, it's Keith Fonseca with the lead. Fonseca 1. Ashton Hooker in second. 41 of Marty Brown on the outside. Looks like he's running third. Cars bunched up nice and tight. Jim Downham moving around a little bit there in the back. See some cars moving. The wind really buffeting these cars around at 185 plus miles an hour. Sensitive to a little bit of draft and a little bit of buffeting from the wind. That looked like Silverman in the 34 down low. Chris Silverman had been in the pits. He's now back out on the racetrack. Silverman currently shown in the 16th spot. Up front, it's still the 61 of Fonseca. We are 4 laps into a 60-lap event. Keith Fonseca holds on to the lead with Marty Brown in second, the 41. Sorry, not Marty Brown, Ashton Hooker in second, the 41 really showing up in third. Although with the bunching up here, it's difficult to tell. We're going to watch Trumbley here. He's working on the backside of that 41, tucked up nice and close, trying to help push that outside line past the leaders. Back in the back, Sonia Fonseca still on the lead draft, just behind the 66 of Bob Burlew. Those cars at the back as we watch David Trumbley bump draft the 41 of Marty Brown, trying to push Brown past. Brown with a slight lead over the 61 of Fonseca. That inside line and the outside line pretty even here, 5 laps in at Daytona. Trumbley looking to the outside. Hooker giving a look to the middle, pushing the 61 of Fonseca down the back straightaway. That looks like Fish taking a look to the inside of Bradshaw. Woo! Hooker gets 2 wheels on the apron, manages to hold on to that race car. That was nearly trouble as catastrophe avoided. Ashton Hooker trying to bump draft the 61 of Fonseca. Fonseca's still out front as they come past the start-finish line. Marty Brown's going to lead lap number 6. Marty Brown now leading on the outside. Brown with a big run. David Trumbley trying to push Brown past the 61 of Keith Fonseca. Brown chooses to stay on the high side as Fonseca works his way back on the inside. Fonseca back to the inside of the 41 of Brown. It's going to be Brown up front. Fonseca second, the 96 of Trumbley third. Trumbley bump drafting the 41 down the back straightaway. Now Hooker putting the bumper to the 61 of Fonseca. Lucas Gortman content to run in the third row here as it's Gortman and Bradshaw side by side. Then you've got the Dude Wipes cars of Shaner and Hooker. Now we've had some kind of incident here. Looks like the 28 involved. Couldn't see exactly what happened there. Looked like the 28 was involved. Looked like Sonia Fonseca might have been involved. I don't know if the caution's going to come out or not. It looks like maybe the caution has come out. The caution is out. We're on lap 7 of 60. Caution for an incident that looked like it involved the 28 of Jim Downham and the 71 of Sonia Fonseca. Could also have been the 66 of Bob Burlew involved. Let's see if we can get some footage and have a look at what happened to bring out the first caution at Daytona. It looks like Don Fisher into the wall. That's the 17 taking Johnson is involved. And there's also the 28 of Downham, the 66 of Burlew. Looked like Fisher maybe got into the outside wall a little bit. Johnson might have slid up. Couldn't see exactly what happened there. Collected a lot of race cars. We are under caution. 7 laps into a 60-lap event. Keith Fonseca leads. Marty Brown second. Ashton Hooker in the third spot with David Trumbley fourth. Lucas Gortman fifth. Mark Bradshaw currently running sixth. Andy Shaner in the seventh spot. Anthony Hooker in eighth. Dustin Veldhuizen in ninth. And Tony Caron in 10th. Let's see if anyone goes into the pits. Looks like Marty Brown may be thinking about, no, Brown faking. No, Brown is going into the pits. So Marty Brown's going to go into the pits. Andy Shaner fakes and elects to stake out. Looks like the 23 of Dustin Veldhuizen might have gone into the pits. Can't tell exactly who that was. Looks like Veldhuizen might be in. Let's have a look at that. It is Veldhuizen is in. Tony Caron is in. That's the 17 of Chad Waller is in. Johnson and the 00 will be in the pits. The way this works is at Tyler Daniels Racing, the standard is 1 quick repair. So iRacing will bring you in. They'll fix the damage to your race car. It doesn't quite get everything, but it gets really close. You should be competitive, should be able to run back up through the field. So all those cars involved in that accident are probably taking advantage of their quick repair to be competitive. Got some more footage. Let's have a look at that last incident from inside Johnson's 00 car. We can see Johnson slows down. He's off the gas. Fisher wobbly a little bit. Johnson did come up some, and then Johnson got into the backside of Fisher. Aaron Johnson maybe a little net code there, helping to get him a little sideways as he manages to drive the car through the grass, straighten it out, and get it back out onto the racetrack. So Johnson involved. Let's take a look from inside Jim Downham's car. Downham just behind Johnson. You see Downham goes low. It looks like he gets tagged from the backside, also gets into Fisher. Downham doing a nice job of straightening that car out, manages to catch it and keep it going the right direction. Pretty intense ride there for Jim Downham. We've got some more in-car footage. Let's have a look from Bob Burlew's 66 car. Burlew kind of at the tail end of the pack here. He gets up, it gets tagged and gets on 2 wheels. That looked like it might have been the 71 of Sonia Fonseca that tagged Bob Burlew. Burlew then around and into the infield. Quite a wreck. We are 8 laps into a 60-lap event. Keith Fonseca is going to lead the field. It'll be Fonseca out front. David Trumbley now in the second spot. Ashton Hooker third. Lucas Gortman in fourth. Mark Bradshaw fifth. Andy Shaner will be sixth with Anthony Hooker seventh. Jim Downham eighth. Sonia Fonseca ninth. And Marty Brown in 10th. Aaron Johnson's going to drop all the way back to 15th. We got word from Johnson that instead of using the quick repair, they're actually trying to repair the damage the old-fashioned way. Johnson electing to save that quick repair in case there's more action at Daytona. The interesting strategy to run back to the back. If there is a big wreck, it'll happen in front of you rather than behind you. Don't know about that strategy, but Johnson electing to roll the dice on using that quick repair. Lights are off on the pace car. Keith Fonseca with the lead. Pace car leading the field down the back straightaway. We can see the 23 of Fisher closing in on the back of the field. That's also the 17 of Waller now closing in. The 34 of Silverman shown 2 laps down. Fisher 1 lap down. 15 cars remain on the lead lap here at Daytona in the opening race of the TDR Xfinity Fall Free-for-All. Week 1, September 2021. Keith Fonseca, the familiar black and bright green 61 car. A regular with TDR, a longtime TDR member, won his first TDR official race earlier in the year. So congratulations to Keith. He's doing a really nice job. One of the most improved drivers in the TDR leagues. The pace car is in. Fonseca determines the lead, and he is on the throttle. Keith Fonseca with a nice jump. Looks like he caught David Trumbley just a little bit asleep. So it's going to be Fonseca with the lead. Trumbley second. The 31 of Ashton Hooker will be in the third spot. We can see the 69 of Lucas Gortman has moved up to the outside. It's going to be Fonseca out front. Gortman trying to make that high line work as Trumbley's dropped in line. It's going to be Fonseca, Trumbley, Hooker. It might have been some strategy from Trumbley there to let the field stretch out, see if he could get to the inside line, get a run. Trumbley trying to get by the 61 on the outside. David Trumbley with a big run. Trumbley leads by a nose as they go down the back straightaway and head into turn number 3. as the 69 of Gortman and the 96 of Trumbley are the loners on the outside trying to go past the leaders. That is Keith Fonseca. Fonseca making his way back on the inside as they come out of turn number 4 into the tri-oval. Fonseca right on the yellow line. Trumbley on the outside. David Trumbley with the lead, followed by Fonseca and Gortman. Gortman trying to push Trumbley past the flying 61 of Keith Fonseca just behind them. That's the 31 of Hooker, then Andy Shaner in the 7. Those are your front 5. Let's look back through the field a little bit and see what's happening a bit further back. Let's ride along with car number 2 here, see if we can't jump in with the 2 of Anthony Hooker. There's Hooker in car number 2. Hooker currently sits in about the 7th spot. He's nudged in just behind Mark Bradshaw. Bradshaw, no number showing on that car. He is officially in your telemetry car number 26. Hooker followed then by Velduzen, the 23, which is actually showing up on your telemetry as car 4. That's Tony Caron. Those 2 cars in 10th. Just behind them, Aaron Johnson's worked his way from that 15th spot up to, looks like 10th now. So Johnson jumping into that 10th spot just behind the 23 of Velduzen. And just behind these cars, let's hop in with Johnson. And we'll jump back in with Bob Burlew. Burlew just behind this group, sort of at the tail end. That's the 17 of Waller. Sonia Fonseca in the 71. Burlew in the 66, currently being shown in the 12th spot, although I think he's dropped back now to maybe 15th. And Jim Downham falling off the pace. So Downham looks like he may have lost the draft. Jim Downham all by himself in the car 28, well back of the field. Downham with a little bit of damage on the back bumper there. So Jim Downham has dropped off the pace. Looks like he'll lose the lead draft. Downham currently in 15th spot, the last car on the lead lap. He will not stay there long once he loses the draft. Out front, it's the 61 of Gortman, who's just been passed by the 69. Sorry, the 69 of Gortman, who's just gone past the 61 of Keith Fonseca. So now the leader, Gortman, followed by Fonseca, Trumbley, actually Ashton Hooker, then Trumbley on the outside. Kind of hard to keep track of exactly where everyone is. Positions change sort of lap to lap. Out front, though, that's the 69 of Gortman. Gortman and Fonseca, members of Back Row Sim Racing, currently running 1-2 at Daytona, 13 laps into a 60-lap event. We had an early caution on lap 7 for an incident involving Fisher, Johnson, Burlew, Fonseca, and Downham. Those the 6 cars that appeared to be involved in that incident as we watch the leaders go by 14 laps in. It's still the 69 of Lucas Gortman out front. Fonseca running second, the 31 of Ashton Hooker in the 3rd spot, followed by Trumbley, then Shaner and Mark Bradshaw. Those your top 6, as looks like Shaner's trying to get to the back bumper of Trumbley. Now Shaner looks to make it 3 wide, decides better of it, wants to stay out of the middle. The outside line maybe in a little bit of trouble here. They tend to be going backward a bit as that 69 of Lucas Gortman running a great race here. We're glued to that bottom line, a quick race car. He's got a lot of help with a teammate lined up behind him. That's Keith Fonseca in the 61. 15 laps in now. Gortman leading. Fonseca in second. Let's see if we can't get a slightly different camera angle here. Watch as the 69 of Gortman leads the field. Gortman down the back straightaway, followed by the 61 of Fonseca. That's the 31 of Hooker. That's Ashton Hooker in 3rd, then Trumbley in 4th. Behind them, looks like that's Bradshaw and Shaner. Just behind those 2, then it's Anthony Hooker and Tony Caron. Just behind those 2, Velduzen and Johnson, Burlew and the 17 of Waller, then Fisher and Sonia Fonseca right there at the tail end of this pack. The car is 2 by 2. A lot of movement down the back straightaway into turn number 3 as we watch the Mark Bradshaw really wiggling around there quite a bit, manages to hang on to that race car. So another tragedy averted. 16 laps into a 60-lap race. Out front, it looks to me like it's still the 69 of Lucas Gortman. Gortman in that back row sim racing car, followed by the 61 of Fonseca. Let's work our way through the field and kind of take a look at all these racers and drivers. Out front, it's Gortman's second place. That's the 61 of Keith Fonseca. Fonseca racing out of Virginia, a regular in the TDR League of Legends. In the third spot, that's the 31 of Ashton Hooker. Hooker racing out of New York, also a regular in the TDR League of Legends. It looks like we've got a battle between Bradshaw, who got a couple of wheels down on the apron, and David Trumbley. Trumbley, a past champion of the League of Legends. Behind that pair, we've got the 2 of Anthony Hooker, looks like the 7 of Andy Shaner. Shaner running outside. Next car is on the track. That's the 23, which is really the 4 on your telemetry. That's the Nowski Nation car of Tony Karen just outside Tony. That's Aaron Johnson. Johnson's moved up now into the top 10. And then behind that pair, we're looking at the 17 of Waller, the 23 of Dustin Veldhuizen. Those cars shown in 10th and 11th, respectively. And behind that pair, it's the 41 of Marty Brown. Brown currently shown in 12th. Bob Burger behind Brown in the 66, shown in 13th. Next on the Speedway behind them, it's the 16 of Fisher. Fisher currently being shown 1 lap down in the 16th spot. And then behind Fisher, we see the 71 of Sonia Fonseca. Fonseca 14th. Behind them, it's Jim Downham in the 28th. Downham currently shown in 15th, but he is well back of the leaders. That 28 car showing a significant amount of damage, well off the pace. Jim Downham, the last car on the lead lap. After Downham, we are back around to the leader. That would be the 69 of Lucas Gortman, as the car is really getting racy here. Gortman leads. Fonseca is in the second spot. The 31 of Hooker in third, the 96 of David Tremblay in fourth, and just behind them it looks like it's Bradshaw and Shaner side by side. You could throw a hat really over most of the field. We've got 15 cars on the lead lap, 15 cars in the lead pack, but of those 15, 1 car a lap down, and 1 car, Sonia Fonseca, in danger of losing the draft here. Fonseca has dropped to the rear of the field, the rear of the pack. She is in 14th. Jim Downham, the last car on the lead lap, currently shown in 15th, well behind the leaders. A lot of action as Ashton Hooker's taken to the high side, trying to get a run to go around the 69 of Gortman. It looks like he's maybe going to do that. David Tremblay helping push Hooker past. So it's going to be Tremblay and Hooker trying to make their way past the 69 of Gortman. A little bump draft there from Tremblay. Andy Shaner making some hay as well. Shaner trying to work his way around on the outside. That's the 31 of Ashton Hooker. Hooker doing a nice job. Hooker's out front. We can see that he is trying to make his way past. Hooker now going to go down to the inside line. That's going to hang out Tremblay. Looks like the 61 of Fonseca. A near catastrophe averted. Keith Fonseca got kind of pushed down below the yellow line there. He's still trying to recover. Fonseca off the throttle. That's shaking up the front row, as it looks like the 31 of Hooker is going to lead, followed by Gortman in the 69. Then the 2 of Anthony Hooker is going to come in. So that puts Hooker's in first and third. Don't get the Vice Squad out. Sorry about that. That was a bad joke. Ashton Hooker won. The 69 of Gortman in second. Here comes Jim Downham. Downham now going a lap down. I knew it wouldn't be long until Downham was caught. Third place car is the 2 of Anthony Hooker. Then Andy Shaner in 7 and 4th. Tremblay in 5th. That's not Bob. Mark Bradshaw in 6th. Johnson has moved up now into the 7th spot. Just behind Johnson looks like the 41 of Marty Brown in 8th. Bob Burlew in 9th. The 23 of Tony Karen in 10th, with Veldhuizen 11th. That's the way they run on the Speedway. As for the first time in this race, it looks as though what we've got is a single car draft. Instead of running 2 by 2, the cars now 1 by 1, as we watch Gortman pull down onto the back bumper of the 31 of Ashton Hooker. Gortman giving Hooker just a little bump down the back straightaway. Hooker 1, Gortman 2, Anthony Hooker 3, Andy Shaner 4, Bradshaw's moved up into the 5th with Marty Brown 6th. Johnson's been shuffled back. They're trying to line up to go 2 by 2 again here further in the back. It looks like Chris Silverman and Chad Waller have retired from the event. So Silverman and Waller have retired. Got a 12-car pack up front. 2 cars, Fisher and Downham, that are a lap down. Sonia Fonseca is the last car on the lead lap, with Chad Waller and Chris Silverman having retired. The Tyler Daniels Racing League every year offers an Iroc Series. The Iroc Series is part of a reward system that TDR has developed to reward drivers for participation, for supporting charity, and for excellence. There are 3 ways to gain points to be considered for the Iroc Series. One way, perform well in TDR leagues. You get points for racing in TDR leagues, but you get more points if you win races or if you finish in the top 5 in the final standings of a league. So one way to gain points, be a good sim racer. Second way to gain points for TDR is to support charities. You get IROC points for supporting charitable causes organized by TDR, making contributions to BACC charities. Third way you can gain points, you can gain points by hosting races for TDR and by following TDR social media. Follow the TDR or BACC charities on Facebook, follow them on YouTube, and give them a shout out whenever you can. What will happen is at the end of the year, they're going to take the top 30 drivers based on their IROC points. Then they're going to invite 3 more based on their performance combined with their support of TDR for a total of 33 drivers that are going to compete in IROC. This then is a series of races that involve a number of different tracks, very much inspired by the Iroc series of the 70s, 80s, and early 90s. Equally prepared cars racing together to try to determine who the best driver is going to be. Lucas Gortman is a participant in TDR Iroc, as are Andy Shaner and a couple others here. I didn't download. I should have downloaded the list of competitors in Iroc to see how that's going right now. But a good group of racers, excellent talent here as we watch Ashton Hooker with the lead. Hooker out front, Gortman second, then just behind them looks like Anthony Hooker in third. David Tremblay trying to make his way up on the outside. After that little incident involving the 61 of Keith Fonseca. Fonseca well back now. He's in the 12th spot. Looks like Fonseca has lost the draft. That's going to be problematic for Keith Fonseca. No fault of his own. Got pushed down below the yellow line. Happens sometimes. I don't think there was any intent there. But it's really cost Fonseca, who had run in the top 2 or 3 for the duration of the race, now finds himself all the way back in 12th and well off the lead pace. Out front, that's the 31 of Ashton Hooker. Hooker still leads, as we can see the 3 Dude Wipes Pudge Grudge cars in 3rd, 4th, and 5th respectively. Then behind them is Bradshaw and Burlew. Just behind them, Johnson, followed by Tony Caron, Marty Brown, Velduzen, and then Fisher a lap down. That's your front pack of cars. It's about, what is that, about 12 cars strong, it looks like? Out front, it's still the 31 of Ashton Hooker. We watch the cars down the back straightaway. Daytona, an interesting place to run in sim racing. It's very easy to make a big mistake, just as it is in real life. So the cars move around quite a bit. They do get buffeted around by the air. Looks like Hooker slipped up a bit here. That's going to give an opening for Lucas Gortman. Gortman going by easily on the inside. Hooker slips back down into the 2nd spot. Don't know if there was some communication there to put Hooker into the 2nd spot and Gortman back out front. May have been that Gortman felt like they were a little bit faster with Gortman leading the charge and Hooker running 2nd. A lot of movement further back in the field. Looks like the 00 of Johnson now moving up into the 7th spot. No, Johnson into the 6th spot on the outside, following Bob Burlew, as Tremblay, Burlew, and Johnson trying to make a run on leaders here. Johnson with a big run out of the turn, now backs off just a bit, stay off the bumper of the 66 of Burlew. Tremblay and Gortman battling for the lead. They're 2 by 2, 3 rows back. Gortman, Tremblay, Ashton Hooker, Burlew, Anthony Hooker, Johnson. The inside line now moving a little bit more as they go into the turn. And that's going to give a little bit of run to the 69 of Lucas Gortman. They come out of the turn now. It's going to be Gortman with the lead as they head into the tri-oval. Come past the start-finish line this time by Lucas Gortman, still leading, followed by Ashton Hooker. Trumbley on the outside trying to get another run to see if he can't make a pass on the 69 of Lucas Gortman. Gortman pulls down low, Trumbley up high. He's got a run off the turn as they come out of turn number 2 onto the back straightaway. Will Trumbley, will he have enough to try to make his way past the 69 of Lucas Gortman? Right now, Trumbley continuing to pull forward down the back straightaway. Trumbley into turn number 3, trying to make his way past, using that high line to his advantage. Trumbley, Burlew, and Johnson on the outside. Gortman, Hooker, and Hooker on the inside. They're now 2 by 2, 4 rows back. We are just now getting to lap number 30. And on lap number 30, it'll still be the 69 of Gortman with the lead. Gortman out front. Good, clean racing here after an early caution on lap number 7. It's been clean and green. Pit stops should be coming up about any time. A fairly common strategy here in TDR is to try to make a run of it at about the halfway point. It maybe not so much at super speedways when you kind of have to come in pairs, but a lot of times if you see you're going to have to pit, that you won't be able to make it to the end, to split the race into 2 equal halves and hope that someone else stays on the racetrack so you can take advantage of short pitting, having fresher tires. That's not quite as important here at Daytona, where the draft is the know-all, be-all, end-all, as we see Burlew taking a dive to the inside of David Trumbley. Bob Burlew trying to take the lead here from David Trumbley. Those three, Johnson, Trumbley, and Burlew, worked their way past Gortman on the inside. Now it's Trumbley on the outside. Johnson's moved all the way up to the 3rd spot as Bob Burlew takes the lead. Marty Brown also on the outside. David Trumbley trying to use the outside to his advantage. They go down off the turn. Trumbley with a nice big run down the back straightaway. Here comes David Trumbley trying to find his way around. Johnson closing in, trying to give Trumbley a better push as they head into turn number 3, and it's going to be David Trumbley just slightly edging ahead of the 66 of Burlew. Trumbley very nearly getting into the wall there. Marty Brown behind these two as well. We got a little bit of action up front. Burlew's going to lead them out of turn number 4. They're going to come into the tri-oval. Trumbley's going to get a big run here. Is he going to have enough to take the lead and lead this lap? Johnson right on Trumbley's back bumper at the wire. It'll be David Trumbley with the lead. So Trumbley out front, Burlew second. Johnson now up to 3rd. Johnson trying to push David Trumbley past Bob Burlew. Just a moment ago, it was Trumbley, Johnson, and Burlew working together. There is no honor when it comes to, there is no loyalty when it comes to winning a race. There's plenty of honor, but no loyalty when it comes to winning a race. If you can run out front, you're going to run out front. Looks like David Trumbley now taking the lead as he and Johnson pull past the 66 of Bob Burlew. Marty Brown also trying to pull by. David Trumbley with the lead. Johnson in second. We're going to zoom in here on the 96 of Trumbley. We see Burlew pulling his way back to the inside. Johnson letting Trumbley get away a bit. Not sure what's happened there. If Aaron Johnson had to lift, the car maybe got a little sideways. Johnson now trying to pull back down onto the bumper of the 96 of Trumbley. Trumbley will lead again. 28 to go. We're past the halfway point. I would expect pit stops at just about any time. Drivers probably starting to make some deals and see who wants to go in with whom. Trumbley trying to find his way past the 66 of Burlew. Johnson's fallen back to about 2.5 car lengths back, not taking great advantage of the draft. Johnson now with a big run as he pulls up on the 96 of Trumbley. And we see the 23 of Tony Caron just blast by on the inside. Caron splits the difference to take the lead. Holy cow, where did he come from? Caron with a huge run, using the draft to his advantage. Tony Caron taking the lead as we complete lap number 32. Caron with the lead. Let's hop in with Tony Caron, who's now up front. That shuffled Trumbley back to the 5th spot. Johnson way back now. Aaron Johnson's dropped all the way back to 7th as Tony Caron blasted through the center of the pack and made his way to the front. It is Caron 1, the 66 of Burlew in 2nd. In 3rd, that's Lucas Gortman in the 69. We can just see the 96 of Trumbley still using that outside line. Trumbley pulling back down on the 69 of Lucas Gortman. Trumbley on the high side, Ashton Hooker on the low side just behind Gortman. Trumbley doing this by himself, really no drafting help, as David Trumbley just using the outside to drive by the 69 of Lucas Gortman. Tony Karen leads. Bob Burlew's in second. David Trumbley driving past as we see the 41 of Marty Brown has jumped up onto the high line along with Bradshaw. Bradshaw in the 26 car showing no number, but that is the green and white BACC Charities car. As we watch the 96 of David Trumbley using that high line, trying to close in on the 4 of Anthony Karen. Karen in that black and orange Nowski Nation car shows up as number 23 on your screen, but the telemetry on the bottom left side of your television screen here will show the 23 as actually the car number 4 out front. Trumbley's moved back past the 23 of Tony Karen. Trumbley taking the lead, followed by Marty Brown in the 41. Then Karen in third. The second row behind those two would be the 66 of Burlew and Mark Bradshaw. Johnson back up onto the high line, trying to follow this group through. There are 25 laps to go at Daytona. Johnson currently shuffled all the way back to 10th after having run as high as second, following David Trumbley around. Trumbley with a very quick race car, using the high line to his advantage as we watch the 23 there of Tony Karen kind of use the center groove. A little bit different line as he moved up just a bit to use the center groove. Maybe pushed Trumbley a bit higher. Doesn't seem to have mattered much as Trumbley goes by on the outside. That's the 23 on the inside, the 96 of Trumbley on the outside. A little bit of movement by Fisher. Fish darts down, takes a look into the inside. Fisher one lap down. Right now, he is the first car a lap down, so we're a caution to come out. Fisher is in the lucky dog position as Jim Downham has lost the draft again, along with, it looks like, Keith Fonseca and Sonia Fonseca. So 3 cars have lost the draft, 2 of those cars on the lead lap. Keith Fonseca in a bit of trouble as he's lost the draft, and the leaders are closing rapidly on that 61 car. 24 laps to go. The cars last pitted on lap number 7. Typically somewhere between 30 and 40 laps possible on a tank of fuel. This makes lap 29. So I really do expect that we should begin to see pit stops at some point here. The question is, who's going to pit with whom, and when's that going to happen? Are they going to run all the way to the bare limited tires? May very well, or bare limited fuel. May very well do that. At Daytona, tires not as important. We see Jim Downham just into the picture here. Downham getting ready to go 2 laps down. We see Sonia Fonseca has chosen to pit. That's the 71 car of Fonseca. Fonseca in the pits. She's Mr. Pit, backing up now to try to get into her pits, get some fuel, and to get squared away. Fonseca looked like she was a little bit close to the left-hand side of the wall. Keith Fonseca now all by himself. That's trouble for Fonseca. We'll go back out front to the leaders. That's Dustin Velduzen. Velduzen kind of at the end of the lead pack. There's Andy Shaner, then Anthony Hooker. Johnson, we can see Downham takes to the inside to let the leaders by out front. It is still that orange 23 of Tony Karen and the 96 of Trumbley. Trumbley's going to lead that lap, so quite a battle between Tony Karen and Trumbley. A lot of lead changes at Daytona. Marty Brown on the outside. 66 of Burlew on the inside. He's in 4th. Then Mark Bradshaw in 5th. Just behind them, it's the 69 of Gortman currently in 6th. If we watch the 96 of Trumbley and the 41 of Marty Brown now driving past the 23. Bradshaw pulling in on the high line as well. David Trumbley, a master at using the high line at Daytona to get some good momentum, make some good quick laps, and find his way around the leaders. We watch the 23 fighting back on the inside. Tony Karen trying to take the lead back from David Trumbley. They're going to come back down to the start-finish line here, and at the start-finish line, it's still going to be Trumbley with the lead. Trumbley out front, Tony Karen second, Marty Brown in third. Great racing in this pack. We can just see Jim Downham. Downham must have been into the pits. Sonia Fonseca still being shown in the pits. Fisher 1 lap down. Keith Fonseca well behind. Expect Keith Fonseca to fall to this group at any moment as we see the 23 of Tony Karen taking the lead. Now Trumbley with a big run down the back straightaway, taking the lead back, pulling back ahead of the 23 of Tony Karen. David Trumbley leading. Karen second, Marty Brown third, Bradshaw in 4th. Actually, Bradshaw now has dropped back to 5th. We watch the 66 of Burlew come by. It looks like Trumbley going to get in line behind the 23 this time, going to hang that outside line out to dry a bit. David Trumbley may be getting tired of running that high line. Tucks it back in behind the 23. This also could be a fuel mileage strategy. Trumbley can save some fuel running behind the 23 rather than pulling that outside line around. So David Trumbley in the second spot. Tony Caron up front. Burlew in third. Bob Burlew's done a really nice job here after getting caught up in that early accident, using that quick repair, getting back out on the speedway, as Bob Burlew doing a really nice job at Daytona. 20 laps to go. See the field closing in on the 71 of Sonia Fonseca. Tony Caron will drive by on the outside. Fonseca giving the leaders the high line here. Really doesn't matter which line you give as long as you're consistent and you stay in the groove, right? Stay in your line, let the leaders go by. Once you get up to speed, you can certainly draft along with them, and Sonia Fonseca doing that now, using the draft, but trying to give the leaders plenty of room here. Fonseca currently 3 laps down in the 14th spot. Doesn't really want to mess up anybody's race. She's dropping backward and allowing the leaders to battle it out as we see Bob Burlew take to the high side. Burlew down the back straightaway. Huge run on the 23 of Tony Caron. So Burlew passing Caron on the back straightaway. He's not going to have enough to be able to go fully by and take the inside line. But right now, Bob Burlew with about a half a car advantage. Burlew on the outside, Caron on the inside. Caron now coming back as they go through turns 3 and 4. They'll come out onto the front straightaway. Will Bob Burlew have enough run? Nope. A lot of drivers pitting now. We've got some cars pitting. That's Fisher pitting. We've got the 23 pitting. The 96 of Trumbley's coming in. That's the 69 of Gortman coming in. We also see Mark Bradshaw coming in. So with 18 to go, lots of cars in the pits. Out front, it's going to be Bob Burlew with the lead. Burlew now leading this pack. It's Burlew, Ashton Hooker, Anthony Hooker, Marty Brown. Just behind them, it looks like the 7 of Shaner, the 00 of Johnson. These cars all outside. Back in the pits, we're going to see who gets off of pit lane first, who's going to win that battle. And it looks like the 23, it's the 23 of Tony Caron that's going to win the battle off pit road, followed by Bradshaw in the 26. And then behind that group, behind that pair, it looks like the next car coming off the speedway is probably going to be the 61. So out front, we're back in with Bob Burlew. Burlew now into the pits. Downham will stay out. So Fisher's in the pits. Burlew's coming in. Don't know who else is coming in. Looks like Ashton Hooker has decided to stay out. So Ashton Hooker stays out. Anthony Hooker stays out. Andy Shaner will stay out. The 41 of Marty Brown will stay out, and the 00 of Johnson will stay out. Johnson looks like he's almost lost the draft of this group in front of him, though. Out front, it is still Ashton Hooker, as we expect any moment this group to come in. There are 4 cars coming in now. It looks like maybe Hooker, Shaner, Hooker. Boy, Ashton Hooker very nearly getting himself in some trouble. Marty Brown coming in. Looks like Aaron Johnson's going to come in. Johnson closing on this group fairly quickly. Let's see what happens here as these cars come into the pits. Hooker's in. Nice thing about iRacing, too, is you can drive through cars on the pits. There's the 23 going in. Johnson's in. Let's see who gets off the pit lane quickest here. It looks like Shaner and Anthony Hooker are going to get off pretty quickly. There goes Ashton Hooker. Marty Brown, the 00 of Johnson, also off of pit lane. Velduzen off. I think Johnson, looks like Johnson, Ashton Hooker, Marty Brown, that group probably going to lose the draft here. They're going to lose the draft of that front group, so Aaron Johnson's going to kind of be hung out to dry. That should take us back around, trying to figure out exactly who's leading here. It may very well be the 96 of David Trumbley out front. We're waiting to see as we get the telemetry to reset, but I think it may very well be the 96 of Trumbley leading with 16 laps to go. Trumbley coming by the start-finish line here. That's the 7 and 2 just behind Trumbley. And it is David Trumbley with the lead. Shaner in the second spot. Hooker in third, Gortman fourth, Ashton Hooker fifth, Tony Caron sixth, Bradshaw seventh, Marty Brown eighth, Johnson ninth, and Veldhusen 10th. Let's walk through the field here as we watch the leader. That's the 96 of Trumbley. Trumbley really getting in and out of the pits very well. Trumbley with a big lead over the 7 of Andy Shaner. Shaner being followed by the 2 of Anthony Hooker. Those two cars have hooked up in the draft. They will chase down Trumbley in just a matter of minutes. Behind that pair, it's the 69 of Gortman. Gortman currently running in the 4th spot. He's kind of by himself here. No dancing help, so he's going to need a drafting partner. He's going to need to hope that the 31 of Ashton Hooker can catch up. And it looks like Shaner and company have already caught Trumbley, so that's really going to help them out as we watch Hooker trying to catch up to the 69 of Gortman. Gortman's caught this pair as well. So there's a 4-car draft up front now with Andy Shaner in the lead, followed by the 2 of Anthony Hooker, then the 96 of Trumbley, and the 69 of Gortman. Just behind those cars, it's the 31 of Ashton Hooker. Hooker about 9/10 of a second back. He can sniff the draft. He may very well be close enough to draft and catch these cars. Then behind Hooker, it's a 4-car battle. The 23, actually, sorry, the 4, but shows up as the 23 of Anthony Caron, Johnson, the 41 of Brown, and then Mark Bradshaw. So those cars running for 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Just behind them is the 23 of Dustin Veldhusen. Veldhusen close enough to sniff that draft, so Veldhusen should also be gaining. Veldhusen currently being shown in the 10th spot. Next car on the speedway behind Veldhusen, that's the 66 of Burlew. Burlew currently shown in the 11th. He is all by himself. That's a lonesome feeling to have no drafting help and to be that far away from the next set of cars. So Bob Burlew in deep trouble here. Burlew running into some problems as he has lost all drafting help. Next car on the speedway, that's the 28 of Downham and the 71 of Sonia Fonseca. Those cars both 2 laps down, currently shown in 13th and 14th respectively. Downham in the 28, Fonseca in the 71. Next car on the speedway, that's the 61 of Keith Fonseca. Keith Fonseca, the last car on the lead lap, currently shown in the 12th spot. Just behind him, that's the 16 of Fisher. Fisher in the 15th spot, 2 laps down. Once we get past Fisher, we are back around to the leaders as we watch the 69 of Gortman pushing the 96 of Trumbley past Andy Shaner. 12 laps to go. It's a 5-car battle for the lead. Trumbley, Gortman. Gortman bump drafting Trumbley down the back straightaway. So Trumbley, Gortman, Shaner, Hooker, and Hooker. Anthony in the 2, Ashton in the 31. As we watch this battle for the lead, it's 5 cars racing for the lead at Daytona. 12 laps to go. There will be 11 to go this time by. Who's going to take home the trophy? It is going to be a 5-car battle, barring an accident, because no one else is within a country mile of these leaders. Tony Caron and Johnson 6 seconds back, along with Marty Brown, Bradshaw, and Veldhusen. Those 5 cars are 6 seconds back of this 5-car pack out front. Looks like Andy Shaner now has the lead. Shaner on the inside line, Trumbley on the outside line, Anthony Hooker on the inside, the 69 of Lucas Gortman on the outside, and the 31 of Ashton Hooker on the inside. 11 laps to go, 5-car battle. We've run 49 of a scheduled 60 laps. Trumbley trying to make that outside line work. Andy Shaner very good on the inside right now. That 7-car looking fantastic on the low line, making Trumbley and Gortman take the long way around to try to make the pass at Daytona. 10 laps to go, 25 miles remain. Who's going to take the victory? Will it be Shaner? Andy Shaner, one of the founding members of Tyler Daniels Racing, an outstanding individual, works diligently to make sure that this league is successful, but more than that, to make sure that TDR is always what it was set up to be: respectful, charitable, inclusive, open, and welcoming. Andy Shaner, a big driver, as is Tommy Hebert and a number of other admins and members that really make this go. All the drivers here today, an outstanding testament to the quality of competition that gets put on with TDR. Out front now, looks like Ashton Hooker kind of did a slide job on David Trumbley. Hooker moving up to the outside. He looks like he's going to try to take that outside line around. Now Trumbley looks to the outside. Hooker moves up. Little bit of blocking going on there. I think protecting is maybe a better word, trying to protect your position as Ashton Hooker looks to go by Anthony Hooker on the outside. Trumbley pushing Ashton Hooker as Hooker tries to get a run down the back straightaway. Big run now down the back straight as it's going to be Hooker moving up to try to challenge Andy Shaner for the lead. There are 9 laps to go. A lot of action here. It's going to be a 5-car battle. Behind them, Johnson is in 6th, Tony Caron 7th, Marty Brown 8th, and Mark Bradshaw in 9th. Out front, it is still Andy Shaner. Shaner leads. The 2 of Anthony Hooker just behind Shaner. Looks to the inside, now back to the outside as Shaner tries to hold on at the line. It's going to be the 31 of Ashton Hooker with the lead. Hooker spent a lot of time up front here at Daytona. Ashton Hooker up front as David Trumbley, whoa, a little bit of contact there. Looks like Trumbley was maybe trying to bump draft Hooker as they went into the corner. Nearly disastrous, but no harm, no foul. Hooker manages to hang on. Trumbley hangs on. Hooker coming back on the outside line here. Hooker down the back straightaway, takes that outside line, makes a little movement, and he's nearly ahead of the 7 of Andy Shaner. Will Hooker stay up high? He chooses to do so. Shaner now coming back on the inside. Anthony Hooker pushing that 7 of Shaner. 3 of these cars, the Dude Wipes Pudge Grudge cars, that represent the ongoing competition between the Nowski Nation. That's Pudjanowski. If you look him up on Facebook, just look up Nowski Nation or look up Pudjanowski. Great driver, good guy, has a great group of fans and followers, an extremely high energy live stream. He challenges TDR. So his group and the TDR group run a series of regular, I call them Pudge Grudge matches, to try to see who has the best group on Facebook. And right now, the competition is fierce as we see 3 of those cars with the Pudge Grudge team paint schemes running together. The 7 of Andy Shaner leads, 7 laps to go. Shaner really pulling by on the high side now. Ashton Hooker wiggles around just a little bit. That's the 69 of Gortman, currently running in the 5th spot. Gortman now looks to the inside, actually looks to the middle, trying to decide where he wants to go. Gortman looking like he might want to split this lead group. 6 laps to go. You can see lap traffic getting ready to come into play. I couldn't tell who that was. Looked like it might have been the 16 of Fisher for sure. Couldn't tell who else was there. Might have been the 61 of Keith Fonseca. Hard to say. Out front, Andy Shaner with the lead. Ashton Hooker on the outside. Anthony Hooker with a little bump draft there, trying to push Shaner past the 31 of Ashton Hooker. Shaner now with the lead as they come into turn 3, now through the center of 3 and 4. They will be coming out into the tri-oval. There'll be 5 to go this time by. And it looks like Hooker and Shaner, that would be Anthony Hooker and Andy Shaner, have pushed their way past, although here comes Ashton Hooker back on the outside of the big run at the line. 5 to go. Andy Shaner with the lead, and we can see that is Fisher and the 61 of Fonseca coming into view. So the draft may come into play for these leaders. We'll see who can put themselves in a position to use the draft of these lapped cars to try to maintain their position or to take away a position from another driver. We're going to keep our eyes right here on these 5 cars as it's Shaner, Hooker, Trumbley, and Gortman. Out front, Andy Shaner with the lead. Anthony Hooker gets up high. Fisher. There's a little contact between the 96 of Trumbley and the 31 of Hooker as lap traffic comes into play. My goodness, that was nearly disastrous. Gortman getting a little draft off the 61 as he slid up high, now trying to use that draft again to see if he can get the 61 to work with him to take that outside line, as it looks like the 2 Hookers get together. So Anthony Hooker and Ashton Hooker with a little bit of contact. Ashton Hooker up high, Andy Shaner down low. Shaner up front. The 2 of Anthony Hooker in second. Let's ride along with that 2 car. Here comes David Trumbley. 4 laps to go. Trumbley with a huge run down the back straightaway now. Goes up to the outside. Here comes Gortman as well. Gortman going by Ashton Hooker. Out front, it is still Andy Shaner as Gortman looks like he's going to go along on the high line. Gortman down low. Trumbley up high. Anthony Hooker low. Shaner down low. The 31 of Ashton Hooker also low. Now the 61 of Fonseca and the 16 of Fisher coming into play. So lap traffic having to make some choices here. Who are you going to help? You're going to go along with the inside line, help Shaner, Hooker, and Hooker. Or are you going to go along with the outside line and help Trumbley and Gortman? 3 to go. That's the 7 of Andy Shaner up front. David Trumbley, that high line, very good for Trumbley all day long. Trumbley trying to make another run as they come out of 2 onto the back straightaway. David Trumbley with the run. Gortman just behind him. Now the 2 of Anthony Hooker giving Andy Shaner a nudge. Gortman trying to give Trumbley a nudge. Trumbley just doesn't have enough to get past the 7 of Shaner. Into turn number 3, Shaner looks like he's going to take a slight advantage as they come out of 3 and into the tri-oval. It's going to be Andy Shaner leading. Will Trumbley be able to get enough of a run here to come back by on the outside? As they come to the stripe, 2 to go, it looks like it's going to be Trumbley with the lead. So David Trumbley's going to lead. 2 laps left. 2 laps left in this race, and here's some more lap traffic. That looks like the 71 of Sonia Fonseca. Sonia Fonseca, her car may come into play as this lead pack closes in on lap traffic. The draft, incredibly important at Daytona. Andy Shaner with the lead. He is out front by just milliseconds ahead of the 2 of Anthony Hooker. Hooker bump drafting the 7 of Shaner as we watch the 69 of Gortman bump draft the 96 of Trumbley. They come into turn number 3 now. Trumbley up high. He's trying to get another run on Shaner. Last lap Trumbley led. Looks like Trumbley's not going to have enough of a run this time by. I just don't see him catching Shaner. Andy Shaner is going to come down. He's going to take the white flag, and it looks like Andy Shaner is going to have the lead. There's 1 to go. Andy Shaner up front, followed by the 2 of Anthony Hooker. Ashton Hooker in third. Trumbley and Gortman on the outside. Keith Fonseca, he's got a teammate on the outside, but looks like he's going to follow that low line around. A little bit of contact there between the 2 and the 7. They come out of turn number 2 onto the back straightaway. David Trumbley trying to get a run as they go down the back straight. It's Andy Shaner with the lead. Here comes Trumbley on the outside. Anthony Hooker with another little bump draft, and Gortman has made it 3 wide. Lucas Gortman going up the middle, the 61 following. The 61 touches. Ashton Hooker goes into the inside wall. Ashton Hooker spins around. Gortman trying to make it through the outside. Shaner bumps Gortman. The 2 comes in. The 69 goes around. He takes the Trumbley in the 96. Trumbley gets the 2 of Anthony Hooker. It's going to be Andy Shaner all by himself, surviving the chaos to take the win. Wow, was that some race. David Trumbley will come home in second. Lucas Gortman third with Anthony Hooker, it looks like, in fourth. Gortman down into the inside wall and upside down. I think he did that just as a little bit of fun there. Gortman will finish third. Anthony Hooker fourth. Tony Caron in fifth with Marty Brown sixth. Ashton Hooker in seventh. Aaron Johnson in the eighth spot. Mark Bradshaw will come home ninth. Dustin Valduzen will finish up 10th with Bob Burlew in 11th. Keith Fonseca in 12th. Fisher in 13th, Sonia Fonseca 14th, Jim Downham in 15th. Those 15 cars all running at the end, with Chad Waller in 16th and Chris Silverman in 17th. Those 2 cars out of the race. Quite a race from Daytona International Speedway. That was the League of Legends the Xfinity Fall Free-for-All at its very finest back on September 18th. For the Johnson iRacing team on the Johnson iRacing Network, this is Aaron Johnson saying, go fast, turn left, have fun.